Today I want to talk about mindset and why mindset is everything. By the way, if you want the system that we're covering in this video as a free checklist, grab the link in the description. You can have a PDF of everything we talked about. There was a TED Talk a while ago about grit and the need for grit as an entrepreneur. In this TED Talk, grit was getting over all the obstacles and just being able to push through it. In my experience, what I found is nobody in the entire world wants you to be an entrepreneur. That's it. That's what I found. Everybody will be throwing up roadblocks consistently for actually any project. It's not just being an entrepreneur. Nobody wants you to do anything with your life that's outside of the ordinary. And that could even be getting a better job. Like I used to have friends in high school and early college that used to strongly discourage any sort of studying for exams. They'd be down to party, but they're just not going to study. Any sort of reach when it came to career. Like when I graduated from college and wanted to move to New York, it was seen as such a strange thing. And yet it only took 2 weeks to get a job out there. Didn't matter how much they talked about how impossible it was. And I tell that story in another video too. How to get your dream job via cold email. And it's a very real thing. People are just gonna hate on you constantly. And the mindset that keeps me going is, I'm just gonna do it. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, end of the day. I'm gonna succeed. We're gonna get our businesses going. And honestly, you can just tell me whatever, but I'm not gonna listen to you. I was a child actor as a kid. I was in a couple commercials. So when I graduated from college, I had a few $1,000s from that, and I spent almost all of it on a trip to China and Spain, and then I moved directly to New York. And when I told my mom this, before she handed me this money, that I had earned, by the way, as a child. You know, I was doing commercials for Raymond James and Gordon Fish Sticks, and I almost did Checkers. That deal fell through. It was my last ever acting gig of all time. I didn't get the pinnacle. I didn't get to do an ad for Beef O'Brady's Family Sports Pub. But right before she gave me this money, I told her I was gonna go to Thailand and China and Spain and travel the world with it. And she almost didn't give me the cash. That was how aggressively she didn't want me to waste my money. But what's so weird, and how this comes back to mindset of an entrepreneur, is I still think about China constantly, right? Like this painting behind me, I sourced in China on a different excursion. I've got another painting right here of Shenzhen that I got in China, right? Like China has become a pretty decent sized piece of my experience. The same thing with Spain, running around. I learned Spanish at a very minimal level to go to Spain. But what that has allowed me to do is connect with a whole nother group of people that speak Spanish. That's the mindset of the entrepreneur. I knew spending my money on what some people would consider a bunch of bullshit was the right thing to do. I did the same thing when it was finally time for me to take the leap as an entrepreneur. I applied to about $20,000 worth of credit cards, and I used that cash to hire my first employees, to give myself the freedom that I needed, to feel like I could quit my job at any moment. That gave me the confidence to negotiate a remote position at the current job. And then that led to this entire entrepreneurial journey. And then, yeah, it took a couple of years to pay the debt off, but that's because I added more debt by living in hotels and really living the rich life to the extreme for it was a good 7-8 month ride of being extremely wealthy plus getting into debt for the business. If I told anybody that, and I've heard the director Kevin Smith say the same thing, because he went 20 grand in debt for his movie. If I had told anybody that I was going into a bunch of debt to start a business, they would have I didn't tell anybody. I went into this debt secretly. And guess what? It paid off. And if it wouldn't have paid off, I would have just gone bankrupt. Who cares? There was no risk for me. But for the average American, there was a lot of risk. And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur. You're going to go in, you're going to see that what you're doing is correct, you're going to see the future, and then you're going to go for that thing. And people are going to tell you nonstop that it's not gonna work. It still happens to me. Recently, we finished a movie called Improve Your Life, and then we edited it down into a short film. And our next step from there is to produce a horror feature with a $150,000 budget. And even then, I was still getting pushback from people on my team. I had a guy quit. He said, this horror movie is completely outside our scope. We don't even know how to do makeup effects. We don't know how we're gonna do characters in the movie. We don't know how we're gonna do any of this sort of stuff. You're crazy, man. And he quit over that. And guess what? I don't know how to do any of that stuff either. I don't know how to do creature makeup. I don't know how to do puppetry, but I also didn't know how to do any of the stuff that went into the first short film either. And we learned it, and we did fine. The same with business. I didn't know how to do B2B sales before I started sending emails to people. I just sent emails, kind of saw how people were reacting to the pitch and changed it. The same when we did Facebook ads. I made 10 ads, one of them worked. I just kept going and iterating from there. And that's the mindset of the entrepreneur. See the future, be extremely confident, go for it. Decide that this is your path and do it. There's no excuse. You're not going to be talked into this by anybody, and you're not going to talk anybody into doing this until you're making them money. That's another thing I found. If you want people to get on board, you better be either paying them or be very good and very confident in your vision to get them on board. Even my co-founder at X27, Robert Indresh, who runs all of our campaigns there, he started as paid labor. I was hiring him to do content writing at $20 an article, something very small like that. That's the mindset of an entrepreneur. You just gotta keep going, even when you fail. I thought I wasn't gonna pay my debt off so many times, even as recently as this year. And then luckily a bunch of money came in at once and you can just blast it out at that point. That's how entrepreneurship looks. It's like if you ever saw that movie Begin Again with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley and CeeLo Green, one of the greatest songwriters of our generation. The entrepreneur's life is like Mark Ruffalo's life in that movie. The movie starts out with Mark Ruffalo down and out. He's a drunk. He is about to get kicked out of his own company and he hasn't done much. But a couple years prior, he had found major pop stars and he was crushing it. And this entire movie, Begin Again, is about this drunk, down and out entrepreneur finding another pop star and finding another hit and basically telling his old team to screw off for not believing in him. That's the entrepreneur's life. Mark Ruffalo the whole time, I assume, if his experience is anything like my experience, he was fully confident it was gonna work out. And it did. And yeah, it's a movie, but I've seen this play out in my own life several times where I thought I was down and out, or really where other people thought I was down and out, and I succeeded. The biggest one, and the one that left the most inspiration with me, was when the $100 million startup that I was running marketing for fell apart. And my net worth went from $10 million to zero overnight. And I was drinking a lot and hanging out with my brother living at my parents' house. And I just had to drop all of that. One day I was like, screw this. And I broke this down in the Reddit post. Within 30 days, we had $400,000 in annual recurring revenue. We were fulfilling the deals. And I still got to play a bunch of Banjo-Kazooie. All I had to do was quit drinking. That's that. Success is very possible. And that was the worst failure of my life. Imagine having $10 million and then having $0 overnight. Some people would have killed themselves. Just don't do that. And you can succeed. That's it. The mindset of an entrepreneur. If you're running a cold email marketing campaign, and you're getting under 80% as your open rate, grab this free document. This is 50 subject lines to test. I've sent over 2 million cold emails. We've generated over $100 million in leads. Click the link below. You can have all these subject lines. Thanks for watching the video. If you like this type of content, like it. If you want to subscribe for more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe. We do business content like this 3 times a week, trying to give you the real deal entrepreneurship secrets that are not available anywhere else because they're not read in a book. Sometimes they're read in a book and then tested in real life. And I only want to share with you the stuff that I've actually experienced. So subscribe and I will see you soon. I'm Alex Berman. Thanks for watching.